This video is going to be on the piano keyboard and accidentals, and this will give you the basis of what you're going to need for everything which follows in theory. You need to understand this concept or you're not going to be able to comprehend everything which then follows. This is all stepping stones, stepping blocks, and you need to understand each one before you put the next one on top, otherwise the whole thing falls down and you just cannot succeed with any of the other concepts which are about to follow. So please, if you have any confusion regarding this subject, either watch the video over and over and over again until you understand, or please make sure you come and see one of the music teachers. So here is the way it works. You will receive some type of block like this on the assignment and on the test that you need to understand. First of all, I usually only require 1 octave of the piano keyboard. That's all you need to be able to draw for me. So please don't draw any more than that. 1 octave refers to 8 notes. That's where the word oct comes from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Okay, octagon, octopus, 8-sided, 8 legs. Here we have an octave. So just take that block, divide it into 2. Divide each of those into 2. You now have 4. Now divide each of those into, and you'll end up with 8 keys. Now remember, to draw the piano keyboard, it's simple. You have piano keyboards all around the band room. You have the piano in the front, you have pianos on the side, you have percussion, mallet percussion instruments that are based on the piano keyboard. So you don't need to guess how to draw it, just look here. However, what I do recommend is that you always start with the following. Draw 2 black keys, skip 1, and then draw 3 black keys. And as always in music, there are only 7 different note names, so on the 8th note it's going to repeat itself. So we put a half one there. So draw 2, miss 1, 3, miss 1. Now if you're familiar with the piano keyboard, you can start on any key you want. It doesn't really matter, just make sure you draw it correctly, because if you don't draw it correctly and if you label it incorrectly, then no matter how much you know, according to what you write, it's going to be wrong. So please, again, 2 black keys, miss 1, 3 black keys, miss 1, and then it starts all over again. Now we label the white keys, C, D, E. Yes, it starts on the note C when it's to the left of the 2 black keys. D is in the middle of the 2 black keys. E is to the right of the 2 black keys. Then again, if we continue on with the musical alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and we start over again, starting here. That's where that half key comes from. So F is to the left of the 3 black keys. G is in the middle of the first 2. A is in the middle of the second 2 black keys. B is to the right of the 3 black keys, and then we start over again at C. Notice there is no black key between E and F, and there's no black key between B and C. Later on, I will explain that when we start talking about the construction of a major scale. But let's just stick to this first. So all of these white keys I'll talk about in a moment. On the piano, if you go to the right on a piano keyboard, okay, if you go to the right on a piano keyboard, you're going up in pitch. Just so that you can hear it, I'll do it on the piano. I'm going to do to the right. You're going up the piano when you go to the right. Now the accidental, there are 3 accidentals that you need to know. Okay, so when you hear the word accidental, what I'm referring to are these 3. The sharp, the flat, and the natural. Those are the 3 I'm going to be talking about, and they're known as accidentals. That's what they're called. So I'm going to the right on the piano keyboard, which means I'm going up in pitch. That's what I'm referring to. Now in music, the symbol we use for making a note go up is called the sharp. In actual fact, it makes a lot of sense. If you sit on something sharp, which direction do you go? One would hope up. Otherwise, it's going to hurt for a long time. So the sharp makes the note go up. How much does it go up? Well, it raises, and this is the only definition I will accept, so please remember this. It raises a note one semitone. A semi means half. So it's one semitone, or half a tone. So when you go from a white key to a black key, that is a semitone. When you go from a black key to an adjacent, that means beside, an adjacent white key, that's a semitone. From that white key to that black key, semitone. That black key to that white key, semitone. Now from this white key to this white key is also a semitone. Why? Because there's no black key in between. So there's an exception right there. Then from this white key to this black key, semitone. Black key to white key, semitone. But they have to be beside each other. From this white key to this black key, semitone. Black key to white key, semitone. White key to black key, semitone. Black key to white key, semitone. Here, between B and C, is also a semitone because there is no black key in between. And we start all over again at C. So therefore, if this is C, then this black key right beside it, which raises C a semitone, must be known as C sharp. This is D, so this must be known as D sharp. Now this is E, so therefore, if a sharp raises it as a semitone, then the F, another name for F must be E sharp, because there's no black key in between. So if it goes up a semitone, which is what between E and F is a semitone, therefore, this is E. This would then be known as F, or another name for it is E sharp. So this is the note F as well. It would be known, the next black key is F sharp. This is G. This would be G sharp. This is A. This would be called A sharp. This is B. Between B and C, that's a semitone. So another name for C would be B sharp. So that has to do with sharps. Now, as always, if we go the opposite direction, we're going to the left in music, then please be aware that when you go to left in music, you are going down. Does this sound rather familiar? When you go right, when you're writing music, remember when you're putting the stems on the notes, if it's on the right, then the stem is going up. If you're going down in music, well then the stem would be on the left side. Just to remind you, if it's on the right, the stem goes up. If the stem is on the left, then the stem goes down. And the same thing exists with regards to accidentals, is that if it's a sharp, then it's making the note go up. If it's a flat, which is what this next one is going to be called, it's called a flat. That's the accidental, the flat. Same definition except it lowers a note one semitone, otherwise known as half a tone. That's another way of saying it. Raises a note half a tone, or you can say one semitone. Either is correct. So if this is C, then this must be called C flat. We're going down to the left. And therefore, between C and B is a semitone, so therefore this is C, this must be known as C flat. So another name for B is C flat. This is B, so the next black key below it is B flat. This is A, so this must be called A flat. This is G, so this key must be called G flat. This is F, so another name for E must be F flat. There's a semitone, there's no black key between these two, so this is F, semitone below, which would be known as F flat. It's another name for E. This is E, so this must also be called E flat. This is D, and this must be called D flat. And that's how you would label the complete piano keyboard. Now, I can tell you all about these white keys. They are known as natural notes. Okay? They're known as natural. And the definition of a natural is that it cancels the sharp or flat. That's what the natural does. It cancels the sharp or flat so that you go back to the white keys on a piano keyboard. So if it's C sharp in this natural sign, it then returns it to C. It cancels the sharp or flat. Now this is important for you to realize, because when you're writing music, if this is called C sharp, and I want to talk about this, this is the note C sharp. If you want the note C, then you must put a natural sign in front of the note C, because in the same bar, if you see this sign, C sharp, and you write the note beside it, it remains C sharp. That's still C sharp as long as it's in the same bar. Then when it has another note in the next bar, that bar line cancels any accidental in this bar, and this comes back to being C. So the bar line stops any accidental, extra accidental, from entering the next bar. So this is C sharp, this is C sharp. The minute you cross the bar line, this becomes C. Now, normally, if I'm writing music for my students, most educational institutions will do this. They'll actually put the natural sign in brackets to remind you that it has changed back to natural. Okay? That's not uncommon writing in music. But remember, C sharp stays C sharp until you either see a natural sign, such as in this example, then it becomes C. When you put the natural sign, it cancels the sharp, and it goes back to being C. Or you wait until you cross the bar line, and then it becomes automatically natural. The bar line stops any accidental from entering the next bar. So please remember that. That happens with flats or sharps. It doesn't matter. It's the same concept. Now, one misconcept that happens all the time is that the accidental must always be on the before the note, on the left-hand side of the note. It comes first. And the reason for this is because in music, you could have that sharp anywhere you want. And automatically the musician knows, oh, that's B sharp. Why? It's because it's indicating the sharp is on the middle line, and the middle line in the treble clef is the note B. So we know we're playing the note B sharp. We have to see that first. The note itself tells us how many beats to hold it for. So in other words, I'm playing the note B sharp, L, and I'm playing it for 2 beats. That's what that's telling me. I have the note flat. Well, then I know I'm playing the note A flat, and the note value tells me I'm going to play it for 3 beats. So the accidental always comes first, because that tells us the note we're playing. This tells us how long we're going to hold it for. Now, it's important to understand that you cannot write an accidental, say we write it on the 4th line in the treble clef, and then we write the note in a totally different place. The musician reads D sharp, and all of a sudden they see that you've written the accidental in the wrong place, or you've written the note in the wrong place. We're not sure which, and you make a mistake. So therefore, the accidental must be in the same, or have the same line going through it, or in the same space as the note you're trying to indicate. Do not write it above the note or anywhere other than indicating the note itself. I want C sharp, therefore it must be in the space. If I want the note E sharp, then it must be on the same line as the note I'm indicating. If there's any ambiguity, if it's 2 ways that a musician can take it, they'll always guess wrong, I guarantee you. So remember, the accidental always comes first, then the note. The reason that we write this as B sharp and we put the accidental after the name of the note is because we're using the symbol sharp as a shortcut, so we don't have to write the word B sharp. Under normal circumstances, that's what you would have to write, B sharp. Well, who wants to write sharp every time when it comes to naming notes? So instead, we don't use the word sharp, we just use the symbol. And that's why we write it that way. It just takes the place of the word. Okay, so please don't get confused by that. When we're writing music, the accidental has to come first. It tells us the name of the note which follows tells us how long to hold it for. When we write it, then all we're doing is using the symbol to take the place of the actual word. The word flat, or the word sharp, or the word natural. Okay? So please remember that concept. And that is all that you're going to need to know with regards to the piano keyboard. This is what you need to be able to label on the piano keyboards, which will come in the tests that follow, and it will haunt you continuously. This is going to be on several tests that follow after we learn about the piano keyboard. So please, you have to know this. So watch this video several times and make sure you understand the concept of what does a flat do, what does a sharp do, what does a natural do. Please remember that each black key has two names, and these two notes, E and F, B and C, also have two names for a total of 22 marks. Now please be aware of the fact that one other concept I need to tell you is that when a note has two names, it is known as a enharmonic equivalent, is the fancy name we give it. Just so that you remember. And the definition of enharmonic equivalent is quite simple. An enharmonic equivalent is one note that has two names. So if I ask you for the enharmonic equivalent of F sharp, it's G flat. The enharmonic equivalent of B flat is A sharp. Now this comes in real handy because think of it, trumpeters and clarinetists, that if you have to play the note B flat, no problem, first finger. Or if you're a clarinetist, 3 in the first finger, or the 2 silver keys, whatever. The simple fact is that if I say, okay, play for me the note A sharp, you'd be looking at me like deer in the headlights. What's that? Well, if you now know that a note can have two names, well, another name for A sharp is B flat. Oh, well, you know that. Well, you also know A sharp. Saxophonist, you know F sharp, 3 in the middle finger. No problem whatsoever. However, if I said, okay, play for me G flat. I don't know the fingering for G flat. Actually, yes, you do. It's the same as F sharp. F sharp and G flat are the same note. Same fingering. Okay? May have different note name, but they're still the same note when you go to play them. 3 in the middle finger. If you happen to be a baritone player or trombonist, and I say, okay, play for me the note A sharp. Again, you'd look at me, I don't know A sharp. Yes, you do. It's another name for the note B flat. Oh, I know that. That's open for the baritone. That's first position for the trombone, and so forth. So if I missed an instrument such as a flute, same thing pertains to you. B flat is 1-1. A sharp, same note. Try and remember that, okay? And that's where all of this comes into play when it comes to the piano keyboard and harmonic equivalents, tones, and semitones. Now, we talked about semitones. In the next lesson, I'll talk about tones. This is the piano keyboard and accidentals.